Good morning, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world, and welcome to the morning stream here on the Den of Nerds Live, the very best way to start your nerdy day. On today's show, whoo, baby, we're going to get real nerdy. We're getting real nerdy. Crazy scoop coming in from Jeremy Conrad over at MCU Cosmic last night. Ultimatum. We're going to get into what the heck this is, what the exact scoop is, and executive producer Ryan H. is going to come on the show, and we are just going to geek out about this. This is a huge deal. This story is really crazy. This story is also almost universally despised by comic book fans. So it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be juicy. I can't wait to get into it. But how's everybody doing this morning? I see a bunch of beautiful people in here. Lavish Black Man, London Dubs, Lizzie, Marvel Maniac, Toilet Room, Ryan's in here, Trinity's in here, Wolfpack, June, Fanjecture, Steve, Star Wars Santa, David Fuller, Mr. D, Lucas Rodriguez, Fanjecture, I said that twice, didn't I? Stormbreaker's here. What's going on, everybody? Bill M in the building. What's going on, everybody? Jason's here, Matt's here. Good morning. James is here as well. Whew! How's everybody doing this morning, man? How's everybody doing? Are we doing good? Good start to the week so far. Tuesday, creeping towards the new month, man. Creeping towards May the 4th next Monday, which, by the way, I want to say this, too, right off the bat. Next week, we'll do a big old live stream. I believe the morning stream might just become a big old Star Wars stream. We might just straight stream through the morning into the afternoon doing a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Maybe we'll start with our official breakdown, do some news and stuff like that. Then we'll get into maybe doing some watch-alongs. You know what I mean? Like maybe we could figure out a nice little watch-along where we're watching either the new episode of the Clone Wars or the Mandalorian documentary together. I think that would be really cool. And then maybe playing some Star Wars games, man. Maybe we'll do a whole big old... XR Coon, sorry I skipped you. We'll do a big old Star Wars stream next Monday for May the 4th. Star Wars Day. Chet, we got to get right to it, man. The people demand it. It's the craziest news of the day. Yo, this news is crazy. Insanity. When I saw this come out yesterday, I kind of had to laugh. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of had to laugh. Chet's back, baby. Chet's back, James, and he's chilling. I kind of had to laugh. I felt like this was very interesting Marvel news, very juicy, enough to really dig into and to talk about here. So let's try to do it this way, I guess. Oh wait, no, it's not going to let us do it. Okay, I'm just going to go over this report coming from Jeremy Conrad over at MCU Cosmic with the full scoop. I recommend you check out his actual article and give Jeremy a little bit of love over there. But yeah, I'll read from his article there. Even with the pandemic-y thingy keeping people on lockdown, the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still being charted, and now one piece of it has been revealed. Much like we learned about Eternals long before it was announced in the Solo Hawkeye series, things are starting to come to light about what might be the next big MCU event. So yes, those are some of the scoops that Jeremy has gotten absolutely correct back in the day. I know there's some contention over Jeremy and MCU Cosmic. Look, we did that chart back in the day. For those of you that watch this show very regularly, we went into there and we saw a chart. Were there a few things that Jeremy got right or wrong? Yes. But overall, he's pretty accurate when it comes to his scoops, and way more accurate than someone like Mikey Sutton, who had so many negative marks against him when we actually looked at the data. It was insane. Anyways, I digress. Story and plot details are scarce right now, but Marvel Studios has begun early development on Ultimatum. While the villain group Ultimatum has been rumored to play a role in the upcoming Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney+, this Ultimatum sounds much bigger than them. Specifically, it appears to be a modified version of the Marvel Ultimate storyline Ultimatum. although with tweaks needed to adapt it into the existing Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, Jeremy goes on to explain a little bit about Ultimatum from the comic books. So we'll give you, we'll go over his brief rundown here. He says, for those unfamiliar with the Ultimate comic storyline of Ultimatum, it was an epic event that involved the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. We should have like a chime, Chet. You know what I mean? Like when like a little like chime kind of thing, bing, or something like that. Every time I say like a buzzword or something, you know what I mean? Like Fantastic Four, bing, X-Men, bing, that sort of thing. Okay. Fantastic Four and X-Men included Doctor Doom, bing, manipulating events from the background to kick off this whole thing. Namor even played a part. Bing! Namor... oh, my God. The story dealt with the deaths of Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Magneto going full evil maniac over the deaths of his childrens, and the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and other Marvel heroes uniting to defeat him. So that is, folks, the scoop. So let's get back into the chatting, and I'm going to bring now onto the show the one and only executive producer, Ryan H. What's going on, Ryan?
Good morning, everybody. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, sir. I want to get your baseline thoughts on Ultimatum, and then we'll break into some of the things that I want to talk about. But what do you think, man? What do you think of the scoop?
I'm kind of excited for the Ultimatum. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I don't see anything that Kevin Feige's done so far to be bad. They'll have to rework some stuff, but I kind of think this is a pretty Feige move to take something that the fans universally didn't like, and kind of make something fun out of it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. By the way, David Fuller says nice shirt in the chat. I'd have to agree. Pretty nice shirt. You're rocking the Baby Yoda on there too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's a Baby Yoda kind of day.
Yes, it is a Baby Yoda kind of day. Woo! I wish I would have known. I wear like my Marvel shirt with all the things on there. So baseline thoughts, man. I agree with you. I think it's kind of interesting. You know, we spoke very briefly in sort of the digital green room before we came on. It is absolutely hilarious how many Marvel fans really disliked Ultimatum. Really disliked it. So I was chatting with Ken last night about this a little bit. So Ken brought it to my attention. By the way, shout outs to Ken Cologne, man. Just doing a great job on social media. And we've got some really cool things on the horizon, including our cosplay contest, which Grey Dawn had the brilliant idea to do. So we'll be doing some of that stuff very soon. But he immediately after sending me the scoop itself sent me Charles Murphy's reaction from Twitter, and literally the tweet, I should pull it up, but it said something to the effect of like, Ultimatum is literally the worst garbage ever done in comic books. And I know a lot of people feel, very similar to that, but kind of as you said, you know, it's a very Feige thing to take something that was, let's just call it mixed, and let's go from there. But yeah, it's a really Feige thing to take something like this and try to spin it into something really, really good. Now, one of the things that sort of jumped out to me as being incredibly interesting with this is the fact that it involves a ton of characters that Marvel just got the rights back to. So what do you think about that? The fact that this could be Feige's sort of plan to utilize these new characters.
It makes sense to me. You know, like we were saying before in the back room, you know, House of M came out, a couple of years before Ultimates. It kind of utilizes the same characters. We know he wants Namor in. He plays a big role. It'll be a great way to establish kind of, we all know Magneto. We don't need to see it again. If they bring in something, like if they bring the characters in, this would be a really good kind of storyline to utilize them in. You know, they have the tools.
Dude, I'll tell you this.
Now he gets to play with them.
Dude, I'll tell you this, man. What a wild way to do it. Because, he said whatever we see, he's been very coy about, he being Feige, of course. He's been very coy about what to expect with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. He obviously has plans for it, but like, he said some really weird things like whatever we do with those characters will be very different than what you've seen before. I find that
Hmm.
fascinating, especially when you line that up with, and by the way, too, I just want to say this too. We're kind of just geeking out about this and nerding out about this. And I really am interested in anything that the chat is saying, anything that you're saying, Ryan, anything because we're going to do a full breakdown as I do some research and pull together like a nice produced video later today. There'll be a big video about this on the channel. So I'm sort of treating this live stream and everybody in the chat as sort of our brainstorming of the different things we want to put into this video later today. But I find this so interesting because this would be something that, like, if you had a list of epic comic book stories out there, X-Men, Fantastic Four, just overall Marvel Universe, Ultimatum itself is probably not on a lot of people's radars for stories like that. And so it could have been one of those things where Feige like looks at this story and is like, there's actually some really interesting things going on here with these characters. I want to introduce them and do something like this. Now, I still think that the characters themselves will sort of be piecemealed out, and we will get an introduction properly of, Magneto, of the X-Men and different things like that. But one of the key components of this story is the deaths of Wanda and Pietro and how that sets Magneto off, which begs a sort of 101 question. Do you think that is going to be adapted into the MCU? Will Magneto be the father of Scarlet Witch and Pietro in the MCU? And how are they going to square that with what they've already done with the characters? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that's a great point, and kind of the one I wanted to bring up next. We know, or we think we know, that Quicksilver's coming back in WandaVision. I think this makes WandaVision even more important, to the MCU. We knew it was going to be important to Doctor Strange, but now, I mean, this could have being able to use that House of M kind of storyline to bring back characters. Just to kill them off again would be great.
Yeah.
But you kind of, this article coming out shows kind of gives us an idea of where they're going. I knew, we didn't really know what the next kind of new Avengers might be, how cosmic, how big. But I think, I kind of see this being something that won't be done for another 5 to 6 years. And then if that's coming off the basis of filming's not going to start maybe till the end of this year, like you were saying yesterday, this gives them enough time to set these type of things up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean,
but I'm all about it. I think
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's a good use, I think, of these characters.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's interesting. Trev said in the chat that that would sort of make Magneto Sokovian. I'm totally okay with that. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I actually would really like that. I think the one thing that they still need to sort of explain is did he already have his mutant powers through? Because here's something that's interesting. We still don't know fully how they're going to do mutants in the MCU, right?
Yes.
We really don't. So a lot of people have speculated. This was a big theory going around before Endgame, after Infinity War, where people were like, dude, the snap is going to somehow cause the mutations in the genes. Well, we're sort of getting a tease here with the Eternals. At least we think there's a potential tease there for the mutants, because the X gene itself is created by the Eternals, but it lays latent in humankind. It takes about 1,500 years or so before that mutant gene manifests itself. And then even then, it's a really slow, gradual sort of passing on of the mutant gene until there's sort of an explosion as the population sort of skyrockets in, like, let's just call it in the 19th century. Well, what if Magneto did have his powers, and maybe even Scarlet Witch and Pietro, to a degree, had their powers as well. And we come to find out that Baron Strucker, utilizing the Mind Stone, accelerated their mutations. And when the blip or the snap occurs, or perhaps a combination of both, that cosmic energy floods the world and actually like sort of like extra manifests or sort of accelerates the mutation of all of the mutants. Would that sort of could that be a way that they sort of explain how Magneto was around but wasn't super powerful? And a similar thing with the rest of the mutants. What do you think about that?
Uh, it's really funny you bring this up. I got into a very heated nerd debate, nerd bait, I don't know, with one of my friends at work Friday about how they're going to bring in the X-Men, and I was pretty adamant. I'm on the they're using the snap. It's an easy way to bring them in that isn't crazy convoluted with multiverses and that stuff can get pretty heavy for your normal audience. We understand it.
Yeah.
But, Jane down the street isn't really going to get it, and she's seen every movie and wants something a little bit more easier and to grasp. And he said, no, they'll just bring them into the multiverse, open up a portal and they'll be there. And I was like, that's so lazy. It's so cheap to just bring them out of nowhere. And he was pretty adamant about it. He was pretty adamant.
Did you take
wrong.
out your nerd card and like slap it down on the table? Like, I'm a producer, goddammit. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that's. I mean, those kind of debates are awesome. By the way, everybody in the chat's loving the nerd bait. Jacob's Quest says he nerd baits when nobody's home. Amen, bro.
Yeah. I think it's a perfect way. I mean, in the storyline, spoiler warning, but it's it's a combination of a super soldier serum thing gone wrong with Nick Fury, his blood, or it was mixed in with someone's, and the mutants were created, and that's kind of how that storyline resolves. I don't necessarily think that's what they'll do, but yeah, I mean, I think they've been around, it's been dormant, and then if Bruce Banner can get hit by a blast of radiation, I can't the rest of humanity.
Yeah, totally, dude. And it's funny because one of the things that I think a lot of people either don't know or tend to forget is that the Ultimates universe was actually designed as sort of a cinematic playbook. Like when they made the Ultimate Universe, it was a big change from Marvel comics in, your status quo or 616, whatever you want to call it. The whole idea was to create something that was more cinematic and also more postmodern. And like the big catch was like when people die in the Ultimates universe, like they stay dead, there were really interesting ideas introduced where like with Thor, you're not sure in the Ultimate Thor, is this guy crazy? Is he an actual god? Like they don't really fully understand it. The mutants, which this is actually revealed in Ultimatum, which is really interesting. The mutants were actually created by the government, like the super soldier serum and Nick Fury and him trying to experiment. He actually creates mutant kind in the Ultimate Universe. So there's like a lot of really interesting threads there. And believe it or not, a lot of the very first run with Mark Millar and the Ultimates run, which I adore. And look, I'll just admit it right now, folks. I actually love the Ultimatum run from the Ultimates universe. It's my favorite kind of crazy bombastic shit in comics. I get that it's a divisive story, but I actually really like it. But that's, normal Josh stuff. I like crazy stuff. But the Ultimates universe itself is sort of a blueprint for a lot of the stuff they do in phase 1 and 2 of the MCU. So it is actually a setup, and it has a lot of like cinematic aspects to it, which I find really, really fascinating. So I don't think it's actually as far-fetched as people think to imagine Feige looking at the Ultimates and the Ultimate Universe for something to do with the MCU. But let me ask you this, because I got another question for you, and then I kind of want to toot my own horn a little bit, which I absolutely never do. But my next question is, do you think that Feige could actually be setting up an Ultimates universe, or is this all going to, like, because we know the multiverse is sort of playing a big role in what's coming. Do you think that he's not just going to do Ultimatum, but could he possibly be actually setting up an Ultimates universe? Because if we're going towards Secret Wars, that was a huge deal. The Ultimates universe actually was destroyed in the lead up to Secret Wars, and you had when it was all said and done, when the dust settled, and there were only 2 Earths and 2 universes left in the multiverse, it was the Ultimates universe and 616. So, do you think this is actually a hint that maybe Feige is building an Ultimates universe? What do you think about that?
When I first heard, like when I was first reading everything, that's right where my head went, was how can this get us to Secret Wars? Because I think that's kind of what we all really want to see. I wasn't thinking, will he create a whole separate universe? I could see that, where you can have, maybe different actors play some of the characters that have left us.
Right.
I would be very intrigued to see if he does that, to see maybe what kind of reaction it gets.
Yeah.
I would love to see, it's a comic book. Captain America never dies. Iron Man always comes back. So these characters are important. But does it ruin the world you build? I have the same argument with the same friend about Deadpool actually coming into the MCU. And I said, he might be there, but you'll never see him turn his head and talk to the character because it breaks the universe, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to create a whole new universe. Maybe he could. I mean, we're going to have to. I guess this puts a lot of emphasis even more on Doctor Strange and how the multiverse is going to work in the MCU, because we really don't know.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think that's a totally fair point, right? Like, because that's where my mind went too. It was like, okay, well, if we think Secret Wars is on the horizon, how's Ultimatum going to get us into Secret Wars? You know what I mean? And I was just thinking,
to me, it works. It works out great because you have kind of like a second, like, to me, Magneto would be actually the secondary villain. And if you did sort of a 2-parter New Avengers movie, Magneto, Doctor Doom is the one really pulling all the strings. Sure. In my mind, and in this kind of version of it, is he would be the one actually pulling the strings. Magneto would be your kind of secondary bad guy, and then it all turns out that whatever Magneto did is ripping the universe apart, or the multiverse, and then Doom has to come in and fix it, and there's your second part.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, crazy stuff. By the way, guys, can we get some likes? Can we get some likes on this stream today, man? Because we got the shit in the chat going on in the chat. I try to post something awesome, get the chat pumped up, and I misspell it, and then I say shit in the chat. So can you do me a favor and at least like the video for the shit in the chat, please? Thank you. So man, like this conversation is so crazy. This is taking me all sorts of different places, man. This is wild. So, okay, let me start with this. Let me start with sort of tooting my own horn a little bit, which I never like to do. What's that, chat? No. Fuck you. I never do this. Okay, so check this out. Look. We had a community stream. I want to say it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And we were talking about the next big bad in the MCU, okay? Now, I postulated and I brought it up to the chat, to the good citizens of Den of Nerds Nation. I asked, well, what do you guys think about Magneto? Being sort of a huge level threat. And literally everybody shot it down. And I think even Trev said something like, you're so dumb. How are you even doing this? How'd you even get this YouTube channel to this size, you big dummy? And I was like, okay, no, I feel really terrible. I'm not going to push it. And I kind of sunk back into my shell a little bit. But in my mind, I was like, but what about Ultimatum? I was thinking about Ultimatum. I was thinking about how he takes Thor's hammer and literally switches the polarity of Earth and starts causing all of this crazy chaos on the planet, like typhoons, hurricanes, earthquakes, and all this stuff. And so I just want to say, once again, Papa Josh was likely onto something. And it would be very interesting if Feige wanted to not just give us Magneto, but give us Magneto that could literally possibly destroy the world. And you're right. Doctor Doom is the one that's actually pulling the strings behind the scenes. And so it would be absolutely insane to have a story in which Magneto gets set off. He starts going absolutely crazy on the planet, causing like catastrophes, horrible things to happen. And you get the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers all needing to work together to stop him, and eventually uncovering this plot that, yes, indeed, it was Doctor Doom. Now, what I think would be crazy is if you do all of this and you have all of this devastation and craziness, and then you jump right into Battle World, and then you have a situation where some of these characters have to work together for a totally different reason, and then you can sort of reset. Like, it allows you to do all this crazy devastation and then come back into a world after Battle World with a new status quo, which I think would be really, really interesting. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm on the train. I'm on board, and I think I'm the conductor. Let's go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, man. I'm
You
getting
know, we
pumped.
really haven't. Yeah, it would be awesome. We haven't. I'm not gonna say that we haven't seen a really good Magneto, but we haven't seen like the maniacal, I, you know, am an Omega level mutant bad guy. Like there's always that hint of, inner struggle with Magneto that we've seen in the Fox movies. If we were able to see something that just sets him off, like really sets him off, like sort of like, when his wife and child were killed in, that movie that shall not be named.
Nope.
And stays there. I'm not an Apocalypse fan.
Yeah, I haven't even ever finished that movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But I would love to just see bad guy Magneto. No
Yeah.
inner struggle, no whatever, just hard body bad guy Magneto.
Dude, yes. I think it would be, honestly, the more I think about it, like the more I'm like, dude, this could be really, really cool. Another thing that this made me think of, which I find really interesting, is so Reed Richards, right? We're all pretty much convinced that, John Krasinski is likely to be the Reed Richards, right? Well, one of the most fascinating things about Reed Richards from the Ultimates universe is that he actually ends up becoming a villain. Now, he's heroic during the events of Ultimatum, but he eventually becomes a villain. And literally, Ultimatum is a big part of that. After Ultimatum happens, Reed Richards in that universe is like kind of broken. Sue and him do not end up together after that. It's like really, really crazy. Like it causes all this turmoil and craziness, and eventually leads to Reed going crazy, eliminating Doctor Doom permanently, but not really permanently because it's comics. But like he eliminates Doctor Doom because he's like, there's no scenario in which Doctor Doom is the planet can't be safe if Doctor Doom is here. So I thought instantly of a possible reason that Feige might not want, our boy Krasinski to be Reed. What if he does want to take Reed on that journey and make him villainous? What do you think about that? And could you see Krasinski being evil Reed, or is that like a possible hang up? What do you think?
No, I think it would be a great move. I mean, I know actors have things written in their contract that they always have to be shown in a good light, but I don't think John Krasinski would be one of those people, but I could be wrong. I think this would be a great story arc. I mean, we haven't seen any of that darkness, much of that darkness. I know like Iron Man 3, we kind of saw that alcoholism thing play with Tony. But have we really seen a great superhero go heel yet?
No.
Am I missing?
No, I
right?
don't think so. I don't really think so. Yeah, I don't think we've really had one go heel. We haven't had a heel turn that's been significant. But this would be, an interesting way to do it. There's this other aspect of it that I find very interesting, and I wonder if this is on Feige's mind as well. is one thing that happened in Ultimatum is a shit ton of characters died. You know what I mean? Like, slight
Right.
spoiler warning, I guess, but like Magneto kills Professor X, uh, Doctor Strange gets killed. You know, after it's all said and done, Cyclops is making a speech. He gets assassinated. Wolverine gets killed, and Magneto makes it so his cells can't regenerate. Like, Wasp gets eaten by Blob. Like, there's so much crazy stuff, dude. It's insane. It's insane. Like, the amount of characters that die in Ultimatum is crazy. And so I'm sitting here thinking, like, Feige's looking at these contracts, and he's looking at the numbers that Benedict Cumberbatch will be raking in if he continues to play the character, right? And he's just like, well, I may have an ultimatum for Benedict Cumberbatch once we get to that time and place. But in all seriousness, do you think that this event could be used to wipe the slate, taking some of these characters out?
Yeah, absolutely. It puts it in that good time frame where a lot of the characters, their contracts will be up, and they can either jump on board again, or they're all of these characters are easily, I don't want to say easily replaceable, but they're
Right.
easily done up again, because you can always put Dr. Voodoo in as the Sorcerer Supreme, and now we're going from Tony Stark to Reed Richards being the big brain. Sorry, Bruce.
Yep.
But there's always ways, and there's always characters to use. So this is kind of that end game type thing where you can easily write people out.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you have a 1-2 punch, a really interesting 1-2 punch that Feige would possibly be bold enough to try. If you do Ultimatum, you have the ability to take out some of these characters. And then when you do Battle World, you have an opportunity to bring in those characters from different universes, aka different actors, and put them all together. And then you have an opportunity, after it was all is said and done, to reset status quo and have different actors in those roles. It seems like it's like really wild when you just like say it out loud, you know what I mean? But like, it is technically possible. Like, it's technically possible that we do Ultimatum, we lose a bunch of our beloved characters, then we pop into freaking Battle World, and then there's like different versions of those characters. We can still recognize them. They're still the characters we know, but in a different light. And then you sort of take what you like, what works after your Battle World Secret Wars trilogy, and then you start dropping those characters back into the MCU. So yeah, man, it would be the possibilities spinning out of this are so effing crazy, dude. Like, so crazy. Not to mention that the whole thing is set off when Ultron kills Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who, again, is a villain that we think is still on the table and could potentially return. Like, come on, guys. It's magic. This is a magic formula. I think it would be beautiful, man. What do you think about them using it to possibly recast? Oh, are you still there?
Still there? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I got you. Okay. Yeah, and God, I'd love to see another Ultron version. I know he's in the VR game and he's back there. Like, yeah, let's do it. Again, it allows these villains to get another go. I know it took them a while to get some really good villains going and some good story arcs. It'll work. It'll work well to help move the train along, and again, it gives you an event that is able to knock some people off the table if they gotta go.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a good movie. We weren't thinking about it, but now that the more that we're talking about it, it kind of makes sense in their timeline, like in the actual movie making process. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I mean, like, frankly, like a day ago, I had this whole other idea for how they were going to do the MCU, what they were going to spin into, all these different things. And then, like, you hear they're working on an adaptation of Ultimatum, and I'm just like, what? Like it's absolute insanity. Like it's insanity. And I was like, okay, well, why would they maybe think about doing this? And as I started to think about all the reasons, I'm like, holy shit, makes a lot of sense. I mean, frankly, I'm a big fan of, and I've said this before in different chats and different just conversations and people. I don't know if people see where I'm coming from, but my thing is just go right at it. You know, we can't do phase one again. We can't start just introducing characters, playing the long game, having it all fit together, and then getting to a big event. People thought I was crazy when I said, I think you can do Secret Wars in 2024. People were like, what? Like, there's no way. Like, you would need to do this. You need to establish all that. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, no, just do it. Just go for it. Because the multi-layered ability of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to tell these stories, especially with Disney Plus being added into the mix, you have an opportunity to get a lot of things sorted out hella quick, and just jump right into it. And so I was actually struggling with how are they going to introduce the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are both so iconic, so big, so massive, so huge for Marvel Comics. How are they possibly going to introduce the Fantastic Four in the same series of years and overarching, amount of time in the film universe as the X-Men? How are they going to give us X-Men and Fantastic Four and have them both be equally as important and play a big role? Ultimatum is the answer. The answer is have a huge event that is taking the main villain of the Fantastic Four in Doctor Doom and the main villain, well, one of the main villains of the X-Men in Magneto, having them literally be co-antagonists and just bada boom, bada bing. You have all of these things brought in. I think that's how you do it. I don't want to wait 4 years, watch them slowly create the X-Men, build up to that, and then 4 years, watch them slowly do the Fantastic Four, and then all of a sudden now we think we can put them all together. I don't think that we need that anymore. I think we can jump right into it. What do you think about that? Do you agree, or do you think that, they need some time to develop these characters?
No, I absolutely agree. I think we're already going to see them start to build it out in November or whenever Falcon comes out. We know Madripoor is there. We know, Omega Red might be in it. There's going to be mutants. It's going to happen, folks.
Yep,
so, and sure, I'd rather them build out the low level mutants and start to say, okay, these people are here, and so that means that we're going to get the ones we want to see soon. And it's going to be a lot. I think it's not going to be Falcon might be a sprinkle, and then what's after, then we get the Eternals, which will be a little bit more of a sprint. We're going to get some Miracle Grow going.
Yep.
And then you're going to hit WandaVision and Doctor Strange, and I think that's when the downpour is going to happen. You're just going to get mutants. Again, we don't need their backstory. We know, they'll fill us in on where their head's at.
Yeah.
But we don't need the whole kit and caboodle. We know. God, we know.
Yeah, and I think that, dude,
go for it.
Yeah, they've got the time. They can accelerate it now for sure. But anyways,
they don't need a movie. Like Fantastic Four, I think needs a thing. Like we want to know that. That's a big deal, I think, to us. But mutants, just throw them in. Let's go.
Yeah, throw them in. Let's get to it, man. So now let's get into Q&A, guys. I want to know what you guys are thinking about this. I've been sort of paying attention to the chat, and I want to know what's going on. And so please drop your questions on in. Ryan and I will go over the questions, and we'll just continue to geek out. We'll go like 15 more minutes here, and we'll just geek out about this crazy possibility. I'm actually going to reach out to Jeremy, too, and just be like, yo, Jeremy, do you want to come on a video and kind of like explain this a little bit more, or like talk about what you know? I don't know if he'd be into that or not. It just kind of depends. But I'm going to go ahead and reach out to him and see if he'd like. I'd actually love to get Charles on, too, and talk about why Charles hates this storyline so much. Because I was like geeking out about it last night with Ken. He was like, I've never read it. Should I read it? And I was like, well, I really thought it was cool. But yeah. Let's see here. XR Coon has a question. Not Marvel related, but what clones and Jedi do you want to see during Order 66 that we may not have seen? Oh, that's a really cool question. So I would love to see. We saw it in the the Caleb Dune or the Kanan comic book where he and his master had their interaction of Order 66. I think that would be pretty interesting. I'd like to see that. Um, well, I guess Kit Fisto doesn't deal with it at all because he shows up with Windu with the Senate. Oh no, that was after that. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Can you think of any Jedi or clones that you'd like to see do Order 66 in the Clone Wars, Ryan?
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, yeah. What the heck was he doing,
I don't
man?
know.
Was he just like on some planet, like rolling blunts or something? Like, what's his deal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see here. I agree with Ryan. How they are introduced is the least interesting part to me because I don't think it's going to be as big of a plot line as we think. Yeah, fair. Totally fair. What if they do Empire? Well, Empire is just happening now, so we don't really know much about it. But it seems kind of interesting. I'm going to check it out. But yeah, I don't see them doing something like that new, that recent in comics. There's a lot of the same reason I don't think they'll touch much of Hickman's X-Men stuff.
Not yet.
No,
You know,
not
I
yet.
later, because again, eventually, we gotta suspect. I know we want big names like Denzel and stuff for the X-Men, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna go young, but 30s, 40. These characters are going to be the ones that take us into late 2020 and like 2030. The train is still going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I lost my train of thought. Yeah,
I think you were
I
saying
lost
Baby
it.
Yoda will be rolling blunts
Apparently.
on his that's I think maybe Baby Yoda rolled some blunts this morning and that's why we're a little off our beat. So let's go back to the chat. So there's an interesting question. Do you think Apocalypse will show up in Eternals? We sort of talked about this a little bit. I think it would be a great place to put Apocalypse. And what a Kevin Feige thing to do too is to have just a little tease of Apocalypse and make him look 10 times, nay, I say 100 times better than the Apocalypse we got in the Fox X-Men. You know what I mean? Like just for a second, just show him in Egypt, just for a split second, and Abin Sur, and just make him look dope, bro. You know what I mean? Just make him look awesome. What do you think? Are we getting a little bit of that in the Eternals? Are we getting a little tease of Apocalypse? What do you think, man?
Just do it right. Yeah, he's my favorite.
He's awesome, dude. He's so good in Hickman's X-Men too. Oh my god.
I know, and they screwed him up so much.
Yeah.
That should have been 2 movies. He's that he to me, he is to X-Men what Venom is to Spider-Man in my mind. Like he was that, yes, this is the one we wanted to see. And they blew it. Sure, I would love to see just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Heck yeah, dude. Give me a little bit of that. Give me a little bit of that tease, Mr. Feige.
Just a little.
So let's see here. I'll go over Owen's question. He's just asking, when do you think the MCU will introduce Secret Wars? I would say in the next 5 to 6 years, possibly a little bit delayed because of what's going on with the virus and all that. But yeah, I do think that Battle World and Secret Wars is actually a big thing for the MCU that they're building towards. My current theory is that, the Russo brothers are actively developing and working on that. And it'll be a big deal, man. It'll be a super big deal. But this Ultimatum stuff really catches me off guard. It really does. And I know that there were a lot of big changes made to the MCU last year. So could it be, hey, let's do Ultimatum first and then let's head to Secret Wars? So they possibly could have pushed it off, possibly. I don't know. That's sort of my guess, is that it will be sooner than people think. But what do you think with Secret Wars, Ryan? Where's your head at with all that?
Yeah, I mean, if you got to think, if they're planning this now, it'll probably be about 5 or 6 years. And again, I think this and Ultimatum and Secret Wars would be pretty close. Whether it's a back-to-back kind of movie thing. The things that Ultimatum set in motion would be very well paid off in my mind in like a Secret Wars. a la Endgame.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's definitely possible. And they can do all sorts of crazy stuff with Secret Wars.
Sure.
More than that we're even considering. You know what I mean? So it's really
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. Adam from Fanjexter says over under 35%. Baby Yoda is dead by the end of the series. How dare you?
Maybe.
And my best Greta Thunberg interpretation. How dare you? How dare you, Adam? Yeah, what do you think? Over under 35%. Baby Yoda dead.
Under. To me, killing off Baby Yoda is like killing Daryl in the Walking Dead. You could kill off any other character. Uh, Ooh, I don't want to think about that.
Do you know that,
I'm having a
dude?
good Tuesday.
Did you know that Jason Sudeikis or whatever literally got hate mail and got like
Yeah.
death threats for?
I put up a Instagram post that was like a wanted poster. Like, have you seen this man?
Yeah, dude.
Hate crimes. Hate crimes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Baby Yoda is like beloved, and so like, yeah, even just hitting him in that show. And to be honest, like the way people give Taika a lot of crap and all that, but like, yo, I'm telling you that he knows how to toy with your emotions. Like, dude, the way they did that, they knocked the shit out of Baby Yoda. Like, that wasn't just a little like tap. That homie was like, bam, bam, hitting him several times, and it was rough. I will say over 35% because I think Baby Yoda will ultimately make a sacrifice for the greater good. And so yeah, I think that Baby Yoda will. That's just my thing, but yeah, I think he's gone, man. I think unfortunately we'll have to say goodbye to our Baby Yoda friend. But let's just shout out Adam for making us all think about the coming demise of Baby Yoda. What a nice way to start your Tuesday. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling real good. It's gonna be awesome. If Baby Yoda dies, we riot. Yep, I would say a lot of people. Ahsoka kills him. XR Kun. Oh my goodness. Are these quarantine-induced thoughts? Are we all just losing our marbles? Ahsoka would not kill and eat Baby Yoda. Why would you say that? Horrible, man. I thought we.
It's
were
all
a
just a
little bit more
play to
mature.
get Baby Jar Jar in, I think.
Now, Baby Jar Jar, now that's an idea, my friend. Now that is an idea. I saw like a really weird meme today of like Jar Jar in a jar and like all this just weird. Dude, Reddit's so weird. And by the way, too, let me just explain this. I think it's kind of funny. There's an effort mounting of Star Wars fans to on May the 4th try to have some kind of treaty between the angry Star Wars fans and the supportive Star Wars fans, and they just want to make May the 4th like a really great day for all Star Wars fans and just have peace in the fandom. Once upon a time I thought that was possible too. And I just found it so funny. All the like replies and everything are like, it's treason then, and like shit like that, and it's just like you clearly don't know Star Wars. Like, you clearly don't know. Like, let me tell you, if you got some time, I'll tell you a tale. I'll tell you a tale about trying to play nice with Star Wars fans. It ain't going to happen. They are literally the worst. So, happy May the 4th on Monday. It's going to be awesome. But you know what? Grumpy Star Wars fans and happy Star Wars fans, all are welcome here at the Den of Nerds. All are welcome here to be talking about Star Wars and everything we love about it and everything we hate about it. I think that it's all good in the hood. Let's see here. Adam says, I'll tell you exactly when the world turns on Baby Yoda. When they give him a name that doesn't come close to how good Baby Yoda is. Hey, that's fair. I think that's fair. They'll give him a name and like people might not be feeling that. You know what I mean? Do you agree, Ryan? You think that when they get the
an actual name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the name. If it's like Argblog or some stupid shit, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But no, you can't. Yeah, it could be next to Kermit the Frog, the greatest puppet ever made.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, Sheev is a great name, Adam. I don't know what you're talking about. Sheev is a brilliant name. It's perfect. It's perfect for Sidious. You know what I just found out the other day too? Totally random. Um, Jeremy Hansen says, Josh, what's up, brother? Just joining. Haven't been on the live streams in a while. Hope you're good. All good, man. I'm good, and I hope you're good too. Did you know that the Darth Vader comes from the word invader? And so, like, so does, Insidious. Like, Lucas was obsessed with taking like words like that and dropping off the first part of them to create his names. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, well now you know. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's
Ooh.
we got a lot of interesting stuff. They'll name him Bebe Yodha. Interesting take. Look, frankly, Shat, I'm not seeing a lot of great ultimatum questions. I don't know if you guys burned yourselves out. Did you burn yourselves out?
This train went off the rails.
Yeah, this stream went off the rails. We want to have a nice little convo about, God forbid we want to clip out stuff from the stream to make videos on the main channel. Can you fucking work with me, Shat? Everybody's just, it's like Tuesday. It's day 58 of quarantine. We're talking about Ahsoka Tano eating Baby Yoda, Jar Jar's heads in a jar. What the hell happened to this channel? This used to be a place where we could congregate and nerd out.
Yeah.
What's going on with these guys, Ryan?
Some nerd baiting, right?
Yeah, there's some nerd baiting going on in this chat. I'll tell you that. This chat's going off the rails, baby. Oh, hey, look, if we can bring a little bit of joy into the world on a Tuesday in the middle of the craziest fucking thing the world has ever been through, I'll take it. I don't know this ultimatum that you speak of. I like the way you worded that, Jason. Very eloquent. Very eloquent. I got an I have great ultimatum questions when no one's home. Jacob's Quest. I see what you did there. Are you giving us an ultimatum? Toiler Room asks. Oh man, I'm just playing around. You guys are great. And we're happy to have you. I just wanted to nerd out about how right I was about Magneto. Nobody wanted to give me any credit. Oh, I did this? I caused this craziness? Jeez, as long as we don't break terms of service, I think we're going to be okay. What do you think, Ryan? Any last thoughts before we get out of here about the Shat, Baby Yoda, and or ultimatum?
No, I'm excited. Let's go. It's good to, as speculatory as it may be, it's good to think of some other things right now other than waiting, to get going again. So it's nice. I like this. I hope this isn't just pooper scooper. I hope this is good scooper.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I hope it's not a pooper scooper as well. Yeah, I think I think Jeremy went out on a limb a little bit with this one, but I think that the reason he put into the article those other scoops is because he's trying to sort of explain that like this is very similar to some other really great scoops that he got. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna dig in and really put together an interesting video for later today. Really trying to kind of dig into all the different things. Some of the things we went over here, just put out in maybe a more, concise manner. But I frankly think there's just so much of an opportunity here. I'm very excited about it. And, if you would have told, like, it's just crazy to me. Like, Dr. Doom, Magneto, all of that coming together in one story is pretty nuts. You know what I mean? So pretty nuts. Let's see here. Jason says, I'll give you one. They won't do ultimatum. There isn't enough time for Richard's heel turn to have maximum effect. Could they replace his arc with somebody else? Well, Reed does not heel turn in ultimatum. It is actually after ultimatum. It is like after all the dust settles where Reed heel turns. So that would happen later. So maybe that wouldn't necessarily need to have that, done. Is Shat Chet's brother? You would think. You would definitely think. Uh, I will say that. And wait. What's this one say? Ultimatum as a comic book sucked balls. Yeah, no. I mean, look. I know that it's not necessarily the most critically acclaimed. You know what I mean? You must see, Josh. There is no chat. Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't realize. Should have hit end stream about 10 minutes ago. Hey, look. You might be right. What's your Twitch? Den of Nerds. I can't find it. Yeah, I think it's the Den of Nerds, all one word. Check that out. But yeah, we'll be doing some crazy stuff on Monday, and then we're going to be implementing the Twitch a lot more in the coming future as well. But Ryan, we're going to call it there. Thanks for being here, man. Thanks for talking about Ultimatum with me. And yeah, anything you want to say to the good people before we get out of here?
Chet, I love you. I'll talk to you in a little bit. We got to finish up the thing we're doing. I have my headphones because I know your voice is kind of hard on the ears.
Yep.
That's why you guys don't hear them. Yeah. Let's get ready for some trivia too. There's way too much.
Yeah, dude.
Way too much.
Definitely. It's like crazy, like pulling all of the teams together and trying to get it all sorted out. But yeah, I think that trivia is going to be really, really fun. I think it's going to be something really great for the community to watch, but also participate in as well. So we're going to call it there, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Look for that video coming out later today. Is Trinity live yet? I don't know if Trinity is live yet. Trinity should be on the show tomorrow as well. I'm interested. I'm going to talk to him a little bit about Ultimatum as well. I don't know if he's ever read it. But yeah, I hope to see you guys over on Trinity's stream over on the Second Street Marvel. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.